Today, I want to talk about traditional values. I'm a traditionalist, and I think traditional values they're pretty good values, and they have a lot going for them. And I believe in the last 50 or so years, as a result of radical feminism and its influence in the media and in law and in politics, in every arm of government, I believe we've seen a falling apart of family values. And I think this can be, as a clear demonstration of this, take the number of people getting married now. In 1972, in the UK, we had 480,000 marriages that year. The divorce rate was pretty low at that point. But then they brought in the no-fault divorce laws, and divorce skyrocketed afterwards. And as a result now, we have very few people. I mean, there's been a near 50% decrease in the number of people getting married every year in the UK. So now it's about 280,000 people. Sorry? Right. I think there's a problem with the divorce industry as well, which has grown massive. With divorces now, I believe it's 50% of all marriages fall apart into divorce. And in divorces, what we see is 90% of the time, the mum gets to keep the children and also a lot of the money as well. And and what will happen is the guy will be thrown out. Exactly. The guy will be thrown out of the house on his arse, and the mum will keep the house, she'll keep the kids, and the guy will then be, and he might even have to pay child support as well, or alimony. That's one of the new ones they have, alimony, which is basically what that means is that he's required to keep the wife in the lifestyle to which he has become accustomed, which is just a crazy idea. And I've no idea why this is in law. And basically, as a result of the massive divorce industry that has been brought in, we've now seen a huge failure in terms of the rate of marriage. Like, very few people now are getting married compared to the number of people who were back in the 70s. And I'd say this is one of the central problems of radical feminism and its influence, on basically on British society. But it's the same, we see it across the first world. We see, everywhere really, a massive failure in terms of marriage. It's interesting now because, and one of the other things we're seeing that's gone along with this massive reduction in the number of people getting married is that the birth rate has also plummeted. Back in the 70s, the birth rate was, it was well above 2. It was like 2.7. It's now fallen apart. It's now about, I think it's 1.84. But what you have to remember now is that since the 70s, there's been a massive push for immigration in the UK. And so now we have, every year, 330,000 people coming over every year, and that's net migration. So the actual number's way higher, but we also have a lot of people leaving. So the net migration rate is 330,000 people every year. And if we look at the immigrant communities who are coming over, what we see is a lot of them are religious communities. We see a lot of Muslims coming over, and also a lot of black Christians. And with them, they are sticking with traditional family values. And so they have a pretty good birth rate. The birth rate amongst the black African Christians who are coming over is a solid birth rate. And so we see their total number in terms of the population is increasing. And we see the same thing with the Muslims. And now I believe from the 2011 census, I believe 1 in every 10 children under the age of 5 is now Muslim. So we're seeing a massive shift in terms of the actual population who are living in Britain. And, this is because we have had huge immigration. But what has caused this immigration? I say it's the failure of traditional family values as a result of radical feminism, which has caused a massive decrease in the marriage rate and a massive decrease in the birth rate. And so that's why we're seeing so many immigrants coming over. It's all been a kind of leftist politics for a long time. The left have always liked to import voters. They bring all of these people over. They say Britain is a great place for migrants to come over, so loads of migrants do, and Labour get more voters. And so the whole thing becomes a continuation cycle. But more recently, what we've seen is the rise, I'd say, of the regressive left, which is all of these, policies that came in Blairite Labour government, 1997. They were around earlier, but they came in more full force with him. And, since we voted in our coalition government in 2010 and our Conservative-dominated government in 2015, nothing has changed. It's been exactly the same as when we had Tony Blair's government come in 1997. We still have a massive push for immigration. We still have this obsession with political correctness and with radical feminism.
Not with me, you don't.
Right, okay.
I don't give a fuck anymore. I worked for 30 years for an FD council.
Yeah.
They tried to lord it over me. In the end, they outsourced it, so I buggered off.
Right.
I just say what I like because I don't care anymore.
No, good stuff.
I've been for 35 years and telling everybody from communists to Muslims to anyone else,
Yeah.
basically I'm doing what I like now.
Sure.
My time, paid my taxes, got
Yeah.
to call out the system, so now it's my time.
Excellent. No, good
That's the way I
stuff.
see it.
Good stuff,
I think
man.
more people should think like that.
I think it's called MGTOW with a lot of white men from Britain, just a lot of men from the first world, really. Is that they're part of a system that doesn't particularly care about them anymore. And we see this with the way the divorce industry treats men. They get treated abominably by the divorce industry. They, they will have their house taken away from them. They will have their children separated from them. If the mum decides that she's not going to allow the dad to see the kids anymore, then judges do not chase this up. They just let her get away with it.
The money when they owe some money.
Yeah, but they do go after the man for child support and for alimony. And and basically, it's we've seen a massive debasement of values as a result of all of this, and we're seeing the failure of families in Britain. And this is especially true.
The left want failed families.
Yes, they do.
Way they can gather all these people up and get them to do their bidding. Why do you think they hate selective education? Because they want thick, uneducated people that they can get on benefits and use for their own ends.
Yes,
That's what it's
yeah.
all about. That's
Yeah,
why they hate the idea of grammar schools. They don't want anyone progressing anywhere. They want everybody going down.
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
can lord it over them with benefits. Or if you don't do what we say, we'll take your money off you.
Generally.
That's what that prick in Islington's agenda is. That's why he wants everybody thick, stupid, and uneducated.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough. I completely agree.
He doesn't like people
I'd say what the left and now what the regressive left, that's the entire political establishment. Because even though we voted in a Conservative government, they have pretty much absolutely nothing to do with a Conservative government. They're Conservative in name only. They have none of the actual values of, say, having strong families, having, a kind of libertarian perspective where families look after themselves and they cater for their own needs, and you keep government small. Now it's all about massive government, and they like to increase the size of the prison industry, the mental health industry, and also payments to, basically, social housing payments, all of that malarkey. Yeah, basically what, the benefit system, what you were saying before. And, to accomplish all of that, what they've done is they have destroyed the family. So now the family can't cope for itself. Now we have a massive focus on having the man kicked out of the family, after divorce, and then the kids grow up under the care of their single mum. And quite often this leads to fairly awful, an awful outcome for that child's life. Kids who grow up in single mum families, they're a lot more likely to be murdered in the first year of their life by their mum. And they try and make up excuses for this. One of the recent ones they've used is sudden cot death syndrome. Where the baby dies while he's in his cot. What actually happens is the mum, strangles him or smothers him. Sure. And, and we also, if it becomes obvious that the mum has killed her child, they use the excuse of, she had postnatal depression. And I mean, this is all complete crap. Because, and the problem is that they're covering up, is that you're not really meant to leave a child alone with a single mum who's the sole carer for that child. That doesn't work. Like all throughout human history, we have had the extended family, as well as the father, as well as grandparents, uncles, aunties, all around, looking after kids who are, at that young and vulnerable stage in their life. And when you just have the mum on her own, isolated with that child, then, these terrible things happen. And so, we see a lot of the murders of young children. We also see, I believe, there's more abuse in single mum families of the kids. There's, it gets pretty bad if the single mum then has a whole bunch of boyfriends, a rotating clock of boyfriends who come round. That's really bad for the kids. And, and so it's just a whole bunch of negative social factors for kids who grow up in single mum households. But the left love this because that means that the kids, when they grow up, they become a lifelong customer of the mental health system, or a lifelong customer of the prison system, or, a lifelong customer of the benefit system. They get into drugs, they get into crime, they have mental health problems. So it's an entire generation who are dependent on government. And government use that as an excuse to increase the size of government. And that's what they do.
And what is feminism doing to help this?
Feminism is trying to exacerbate the problem by promoting single mum households. Harriet Harman, back in when New Labour were elected, she said it cannot be assumed that the father is necessarily cohesive to the family unit. Like, what a load of absolute nonsense.
Producing sperm to produce these kids in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, but, however you look at it, it's complete nonsense.
They couldn't make it up.
One of the ridiculous things I find about this is the father is absolutely essential to the development of young kids. He is, like, the mum is there to provide care and nurturing. The father is there to provide discipline and also to build the child's value.
Discipline, mate, it's do what you like, innit?
No, it is. Now it's a generation of Asbo kids brought up, under single mums, and that's sort of what we're seeing. So, this is just really bad for the kids who grow up in these households. One of the other factors I'd say of feminism we're seeing is with the primary school system. What we see now is about 90% of primary school teachers are female now, and one of the problems with this, and there's been a lot of pressure by these women on a lot of the men who have worked in these environments kind of using the whole, oh, he's a paedophile sort of kind of logic. And a lot of men have been forced out of this highly feminized industry. But you know, the whole thing is degenerating now, because a lot of the boys who are primary school pupils, what the teachers are doing now is they're banning rough and tumble play in the playground. They're banning games like British Bulldog. They're banning tag. You know, any kind of.
You mustn't have competitive games because someone might lose.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
That's horrible, that is.
They're banning superhero play where there's a bad guy.
Dress up in fairy outfits.
Yeah.
Gender neutral crap where nobody knows what they are. I mean, you couldn't make it up.
Yeah. And so, you know, this is completely emasculating for young boys. It's really bad for them because they don't actually develop into men. You know, if you take away their opportunity to engage in rough and tumble play at primary school, and it just shows the failure of the primary school system. They should have more men there, precisely so that the men can look after the kids when they are out in the playground and let them get on with rough and tumble play and ensure that, okay, so that there's no injuries or anything, but equally just let them get on with it. You know, let these boys actually play the games they want to play and not try and get them to play with dolls or some of the other things that feminist teachers have been doing have included. They had one in America where they tried to get boys 8 years old to go to wear dresses for the day. So they put these boys in dresses for the day. Is that ethical? Because that, to me, sounds like an exercise in humiliation and has absolutely nothing to do with any of this gender awareness crap that they're peddling. So, I mean, this, you know, it's a massive problem we've had. I believe in... Sorry?
Get well soon.
I wouldn't look good in a dress, I've got to
Hey?
Get well soon.
Who?
Whoever has the massive problem.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, so I think this is a massive problem we've seen in the UK, which is, you know, the encroachment of radical feminism into every arm of government and area of policy planning. And, you know, as a result of that, we've seen the, you know, absolute failure of marriage as an institution. And we've seen the failure of birth rates in the UK. And they've been trying to cover up the failure of birth rates.
One per person.
No. They've been trying to cover up the failure of birth rates by giving single mums massive financial benefits. The more kids they have, the more benefits they have. And they've also been increasing mass, uncontrolled, mindless immigration, which is hugely...
You get even more money. So what do? They feed the kid busy pop and crisps for breakfast.
Yeah.
This is hyper as hell.
Yeah,
They go,
yeah.
oh no, I've got ADHD, so that's more money.
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
only
that's...
where
Yeah,
I live,
yeah.
all you see is baby buggies. The place is full of them.
Right.
You don't see anybody working.
Yeah.
Pushing buggies around. They've got one in the buggy, one toddling along, one on the way.
Sure,
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
even talking to the kid. They're on the phone, and when the kid wants something, it's shut up. You know?
Right, okay. I'll just catch Mike, my friend, again. But yeah, no, we've seen a massive failure of the birth rate of the British indigenous people. And this is horrific because it's the murder of British society. And it's come about all as a result of radical feminism. And that's why it needs to end. Britain needs to protect its own society. And, you know, I'm not a racist. I'm just basically saying, I definitely side with nationalist views. I think societies should protect their own people. I don't think they should go, oh yeah, just open doors for everyone and let's just destroy the family here. Yeah, that's fine. You know, I don't think government should do that at all. I think they should promote a healthy society, healthy family, so that you get new generations of kids growing up who are, you know, good, strong, healthy, intelligent people who can continue to seed the future and protect the health of your society. And I think that's why Donald Trump is doing so well in the USA right now, you know, leading up to their general election. And I think that's why, you know, we had the whole Brexit decision. And also that's why there's been a steady shift to the right all the way across Europe. You know, in Holland, I believe Gerhard Wilders is likely to become the next Prime Minister over there. Yeah, yeah. Marianne Le Pen in France as well. Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bring it on.
And also, how many migrants did Saudi Arabia take as well? You know, just while I'm on the issue. Yeah, yeah, or Israel. Yeah, you know, all of those you know, really wealthy nations right next door to you know, where all the crap's going down. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like none, I believe. Yeah. Although Saudi Arabia are quite happy to take Indian slave labour over from India, so you know, yeah, they like those migrants, just not the ones from Syria and stuff.
Saudi Arabia, a really progressive society.
So.
That's a really progressive society.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean there are some.
So why don't
You could go for a tea break. It's fine.
Why don't the feminists in this country go to Saudi Arabia and protest about the fact that their sisters can't drive cars? Oh no, they don't want to do that.
This is a really weird alliance, I find. The alliance between feminism and radical Islam. I mean, like, you know, I'm sure, like, once they promote the entire importing of the Syrian civil war into the UK, they might not be so positive about you know, having a radical Islam society. Once it actually happens, and you know, they start forcing them to wear hijabs and burqas. You know, at that point, yeah, the feminists may have realised that yeah, they backed the wrong horse, and yeah. So, I mean, I think this is ridiculous. I think this is why, this is the worst thing about feminism, is that it is a, you know, it's a vile hate movement, and it destroys your population. It destroys the population base. It's a society-wide dance of death, and I don't know why we're engaging in this dance anymore. We need to get away from radical feminism and the promotion of big government and embrace libertarianism. You know, the idea that the family is important, that community is important, you know, that men and women are important, that men shouldn't be trodden on, you know, and thrown in jail for whatever reason, just so you can increase the number of prisoners there are, that they should be protected when they're growing up as boys and have the opportunity to play rough and tumble games when they're in the playground. And also generally, you know, I think there should be some sort of a, yeah, just a focus on, I'd say there should be a focus on women, when they have kids, staying at home to look after their own kids, and also extended family, other members, aunties, uncles around to help those women, you know, bring up the young. And there should also be protection for men, you know, who work full-time jobs, and also respect for men who work full-time jobs. And all of that has been taken away since we've had this radical feminist society that has come in the last 40 years, and it's slowly got worse and worse. And now I think it's a breaking point, and that's why we're seeing the rise of all of these alternative right-wing parties. So yeah, that's about it. Any other questions on that? If not, I'm done. Okay, thank you. Cheers. Thank you.